All right. Good morning, Chair Postman and Member Garrett and staff. Lobby is open and recording has begun.
Thank you, Dustin. Good morning, everybody. I'll call to order the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board meeting for Wednesday, September 15th, 2021. I'm David Postman, the board chair. With me is Member Ollie Garrett. Member Russ Hauge is on leave today. Good morning to the 25 or so people we have attending this meeting today. So welcome. We will start with approval of meeting minutes from the September 1st, 2021 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve that?
I move approval of the September the 1st board meeting minutes.
Great, and I will second, so that's approved. And we'll now move to alcohol-related rulemaking timelines with an update from Audrey Vasic, the Alcohol Policy and Rules Coordinator.
Good morning, Chair Postman, Board Member Garrett. I have a couple brief updates today on the alcohol rulemaking timelines. So first, for the Rule Project to implement 2021 legislation, House Bill 1480, related to extending the COVID-19 alcohol allowances, a virtual listen and learn session was held on September 2nd, related to the outdoor alcohol service areas and food service menu requirements.
I'm sorry, Ms. Vasic, can you hold on one second? Somebody's not muted. We're hearing somebody dialing a phone.
I'm working on that right now, Chair Postman.
Ricky Armstrong. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Vasic.
Okay, I'll continue. So that listen and learn session we held on September 2nd lasted around 2 hours and 15 minutes, and around 55 people were in attendance. A recording of that session is available on the agency YouTube channel and the rules webpage. The internal Rule Project team is currently in the process of reviewing the comments we received during that session and considering changes to the draft rules. On September 3rd, we also sent a Gov delivery message to all liquor licensee subscribers recruiting for interview volunteers impacted by the alcohol to go endorsements, seeking feedback to help estimate the cost of compliance associated with the draft rules. We received responses from around 25 interview volunteers, and beginning today and into early next week, we'll be interviewing 10 to 15 of those volunteers to help gather information to estimate potential business costs of compliance with the new draft rule requirements, which will help us meet the Regulatory Fairness Act requirements as we prepare the CR 102, also known as a rule proposal. I anticipate bringing that to the board to consider at the next board meeting on September 29th. And if approved on that day, the public hearing would be set for November 10th. For the rulemaking project related to axe throwing at liquor license premises, we held a kickoff meeting within the internal Rule Project team last week to determine the scope of the project, potential timeline, and next steps. A draft CR 101 package, also known as a pre-proposal statement of inquiry, is currently being reviewed by the project team, and I plan to present that to the board to consider at the meeting on September 29th as well. That concludes my rulemaking updates for today, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
None for me. Thanks, Ms. Vasic. Appreciate that. And next up is Jeff Kildall for cannabis-related rulemaking timelines. Mr. Kildall.
Good morning, Chair Postman and Board Member Garrett. Here is a brief update on cannabis rules in progress today, September 15th, 2021. Regarding the cannabis quality control rules, we continue to work with the economists from Industrial Economics Incorporated, or IEC. We have now completed 4 scheduled weekly meetings with IEC. As part of that work, we sent an invitation via Gov delivery on August 30th, seeking interview participants to help us understand cannabis producer and processor perspectives. We received approximately 35 applicants in total, and we stopped accepting new interview applications on September 10th. As of Monday, IEC had held 4 interviews with producers and processors, scheduled another 7 interviews, and will be scheduling additional interviews in the next few days. Next week, we will be sending an invitation via Gov delivery, seeking cannabis producers, processors, and producer processors to take an online multiple choice survey via SurveyMonkey to help us understand producer processor perspectives beyond the deliberative dialogues we held earlier this year. The survey will be open for 1 week, and all producers, processors, and producer processors are encouraged to participate. This survey will be created and posted with help from the communications department. For the cannabis quality control rules, we anticipate hosting a listen and learn session on or about October 15th, putting our CR 102 proposal at approximately December 8th, 2021. With respect to the THC compound evaluation rule project, a listen and learn forum was held September 9th and attended virtually by approximately 80 participants. To allow for additional internal review of draft conceptual rules, we may push the CR 102 proposal to October 13th rather than September 29th as originally planned. This would move our public hearing 2 weeks to November 24th with adoption on or about September 8th. This achieves our originally stated goal of rule completion by the end of the year with an effective date before the 2022 legislative session starts. And this concludes my update for today. May I answer any questions?
I just had one quick one on the quality control. When you talk, the consultants are doing interviews and then this online Survey Monkey thing. Do you then get, or will we have access to sort of that raw data transcript of the interview, the full, survey results, or do they then, boil that down into a report? How do we get that?
They will be evaluating the information they gather for the purposes of assisting with drafting the small business economic impact statement for the CR 102 package. So I'm not sure at this time. I can double back with you about that, but I'm not sure if they will be providing that, but I'm sure we would have access to the information.
Okay, yeah, I'd just be curious. Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay.
Seeing no other questions, thank you for that today.
Okay, thank you.
We'll move to general business for the meeting, and Kathy Hoffman, our policy and rules manager, has a series of proposals that will take in one big vote. I don't know what to call them, rescissions, proposed rescissions. I'll let you explain it.
Thank you very much, Chair Postman. Good morning to you and to Board Member Garrett. So this morning, I'd like to ask for your approval to rescind 5 board interim policies. I'm going to refer to them as BIP from here on out. But before I do that, I would like to speak to why the board issues BIPs and why the board might rescind or withdraw BIPs. So the board issues these for several reasons. So for example, let's look back to the E-Valley outbreak in 2019, where we saw an increase in lung injury and even mortality related to the use of certain vapor products. Licensed cannabis retailers reached out to us to ask if there was a way to return flavored THC vapor products to processors for credit for future purchases, given the State Board of Health's temporary prohibition of flavored THC vapor products. So for a specific period of time, we allowed those products to be returned, even though our rules didn't expressly allow it. The BIP on that expired on December 31st of 2019. And because the State Board of Health did not extend or renew the flavored vapor product prohibition, the BIP is no longer needed, and I'll speak to that a little later. So another example, if when a BIP might be issued, is when a piece of legislation becomes law and allows a certain activity. For example, allowing members of a registered marijuana cooperative and others to purchase immature marijuana plants or clones and seeds, and the agency isn't able to get rules in place rapidly enough to establish a framework for that activity to occur. So a BIP was a way for the agency to get that framework in place on a temporary basis until rules could be developed and finalized, but always under the premise that the BIP would be rescinded once those rules became effective. So the focus on BIPs is interim, meaning that these policies aren't designed to be permanent, but to serve as a temporary purpose, until rules are in place or the issue that the BIP addresses is resolved. So, over the last several months, the Policy and Rules team has worked with enforcement and licensing divisions and our examiners unit to review existing BIP and determine which needed to be rescinded for the reasons I've described, or which might be converted to policy statements. And so we've identified approximately 15 BIP that can be rescinded. So today I'll describe the first 5 that we've identified, and I'll bring the next 5 to the following board meeting, and so on. And the board can move to rescind all or part of these first 5 in one motion, as we discussed yesterday in caucus. So if I may, I'll go ahead and begin describing these.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So I'd like to start with BIP 2, 2016, concerning UBI, or Uniform Business Identifier labeling on marijuana products. In May 2016, the board adopted rules that increased UBI numbers on marijuana product labeling from 9 to 16 digits to implement 2 pieces of legislation. And although there were a few comments received on those rule revisions, once they became effective, licensees let the agency know that the cost of compliance would be high because, among other things, it affected labeling real estate, or the amount of space taken up on a label. The board issued the BIP to accommodate both the 9 and 16-digit UBI numbers to alleviate this concern. Subsequent legislation in 2018 removed these UBI requirements, so the specific numbers, right? And rules effective in January 2019 incorporated both that statutory revision and the provisions of BIP 2, 2016. Other portions of the rule, and I'm referring to WAC 314-55-105, so that concerns packaging and labeling, have changed since then, but the UBI reporting requirements have not. And so for this reason, BIP 2, 2016 can be rescinded. All right, okay, to move to the next.
Yeah, in fact, we should have said, why don't you go through all 5 and we'll take one motion for all of them. So you can just go through the 5.
Okay, thank you. So next I'd like to move to BIP 1, 2017, concerning cooperatives purchasing directly from licensed producers. Legislation passed in 2017 and amended several sections of the Controlled Substances Act to allow members of a registered cooperative, qualifying patients, and designated providers to purchase immature marijuana plants or clones and seeds. The legislation became law in July 2017, and this BIP provided guidance and clarity to licensed producers and others about the statutory requirements while rules were being developed. So this BIP was issued in July 2017 with the idea that it would be rescinded once rules became effective, and that indeed happened on December 1st of 2018. So for these reasons, BIP 1, 2017 is no longer necessary. So I'll move on to BIP 1, 2018, concerning food service requirements for spirits, beer, and wine restaurants. This BIP was designed to recognize and honor cultural diversity of food offerings described in WAC 314-02-035. It expanded the definition of complete meal to provide that side dishes could be served as an entree, and broadened the definition of entree to include foods like pho and quiche and other things. This BIP was designed to be rescinded once rules were adopted to make the BIP permanent, and that happened in June of 2018. And so as a result, this BIP is no longer necessary. So next I'd like to move to BIP 15, 2019, concerning the return of flavored THC vapor products, to processors in exchange for credit. And I know I've already referenced this, but this BIP allowed licensed retailers for a limited time to return certain flavored marijuana products to licensed processors during the E-Valley outbreak in late 2019. based on the State Board of Health emergency prohibition of flavored vapor products. The BIP was designed to expire on December 31st, but gave the board, December 31st of 2019 to be specific, but gave the board the ability to extend if needed. And as I previously noted, the flavor vapor product prohibition was not renewed by the State Board of Health. So as a result, this BIP is also no longer needed. And finally, I'd like to speak to BIP 17, 2019, and Chair Postman, I know you weren't with us then, but Board Member Garrett, I suspect you might remember substantial changes we made to our packaging and labeling rules in late 2019. These changes represented both a relaxation of current rule and the inclusion of several existing BIP. Those BIP were rescinded when the board adopted the final rules, but because these changes were so significant, BIP 17, 2019 provided both phase-in and sell-down periods of a year for licensees to comply with the new rules to allow for implementation flexibility and mitigate industry compliance, impact, and cost. And to be clear, this was something discussed with licensees during the rule development process. And so this aligned with industry requests for what I might characterize as a grace period. This BIP was designed to end on January 1st of this year, and to date, we have not received any requests from our licensees to extend this BIP any further. So for these reasons, BIP 17, 2019 can be rescinded. So I would ask for your approval to rescind BIP 2, 2016, 1, 2017, 1, 2018, 15, 2019, and 17, 2019 today. May I answer any questions?
Member Garrett, any questions?
No questions.
So, well, one thing, I'm glad that you were at caucus yesterday to brief us and have briefed us this, because I really finally have it now after hearing it again. So appreciate that. And part of what we were talking about yesterday a little bit is, you know, there's a variety of reasons why we're doing this. Like with the flavored vapor issue, Board of Health didn't even reinstitute that rule, so there's no reason at all. Others that are carried through in rulemaking. And this is, I think, just a good, really, and partly it's a transparency thing. Interim should be interim. You know, around Olympia, people always say there's no such thing as a temporary tax or a temporary law. So I think it's good that we hold ourselves accountable to that, and either just get rid of it or move it into a permanent status if need be. So appreciate the work. And with that, I will take a motion to rescind the above 5 mentioned board interim policies.
This is Ali. I move that we rescind the 5 mentioned board interim policies.
Great, and I will second, so that is done. Thanks, Ms. Hoffman, appreciate that.
Thanks very much, Chair.
We will see you soon for the next 5. Okay, we're now to the part of our meeting of public comment. I'll give a couple of quick reminders. Just a reminder for everybody that these meetings are always recorded. They now are posted pretty quickly afterwards on our board website. When I call your name, please state your name and affiliation for the record. And then remember, you have 4 minutes to talk to us. And when you have 30 seconds left, Dustin Dixon will interrupt as politely as possible to give you that 30-second warning, and then we'll need you to wrap up at the end of that. So I have 1 person signed up, so we'll call Sean Dene, please.
There we go. Are we here?
Yes, you are. Hello.
Worked. It's always so good when it works.
I know.
You know, there's a lot of issues right now on all of our plates, and it's really challenging to keep up with it. So I appreciate you guys keeping up with it all. I wanted to talk today about the proposal to move from the central trace system from LEAF to a simple CVS reporting process. It greatly concerns me. One of the concerns I have is the audit capacity of the LCB to ensure that marijuana is neither diverted to nor inverted from unregulated sources. It feels like we're moving from an overly burdensome seed to sale tracking to an oversimplified reporting system that will be able to obscure the seed to sale transfers. There is a proposal for a comprised system called open source THC that I don't hear you folks talking about. So I guess my questions are multiple on this. What is the auditing capability of the LCB if we move to a CVS reporting system? Who would be doing that auditing? How would that auditing be paid for? Is it possible that the extra money that we were charged to pay for LEAF could go to auditing? It feels, you know, we were recently able to pin down product that was inverted into the system from hemp biomass because of the seed to sale tracking system. And I'm afraid that we wouldn't be able to have that capability on a CVS reporting system. So there is a compromise, a middle proposal rather than going from way heavy seed to sale, burdensome tracking to CVS. And, there's a nice middle compromise called Open THC. And so I would request that the board look into that further. And then the final comment on that is, since we do have the contract with LEAF until the middle of next year, I would suggest that the LCB move our transition date from December 31st, 2021 to, say, the end of April in 2022. Doing any major transfer like that over a holiday weekend is crazy making. And so I'd like you guys to consider all that. So thank you so much for the time, and I think I'm done. I don't. How can I expect answers to my questions?
We will get them to you. Thank you. I was just looking. Unfortunately, our CCRS expert is not with us on the meeting, and but I wrote down the questions, and we will get you answers probably in writing. But then I think we also will ask. Well, we do get regular updates on CCRS as well at our executive management team. And we can put that on the agenda for that as well, so we have a public conversation about it. But we'll make sure you get answers to those questions. In fact, if you wanted to send him an email, but I wrote down what is our audit capacity, who does it, how's it paid for, can you take some of the money used for LEAF for that? And I think the specific thing you pointed out about how it was the existing system was used to help focus on some of the biomass is interesting. I haven't heard about Open THC, so we can ask about that as well. So if there's more than that, feel free to email Dustin and we'll get this to you. But we will be sure to round up answers to all of that for you as soon as we can. Okay.
And extend the time. So that was the last.
Oh, and extend the time. Yes, to April 22. Okay, yep. We will ask all those questions of the folks that know a lot more about it than I do.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Appreciate your time today. And that brings us to the end of our agenda today. Any last words, Member Garrett?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and we will adjourn the board meeting for September 15th, 2021. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.